If you've ever walked into a supermarket and immediately felt overwhelmed, the lights, the noise, the number of choices, you're not imagining that. And it's not just you. Hi, I'm Dr. Jessica Bays. I'm a researcher in nutritional psychiatry, and I focus on how nutrition impacts mental health, particularly in autistic adults. A lot of the time, when we talk about eating, we focus on the food itself. But there's an important step that comes before that, the grocery shopping. And for many people, that step can be one of the hardest parts. So in this video, I want to talk about why supermarkets can feel so overwhelming, how that connects to eating, what the research shows, and some gentle ways to make it feel more manageable. Now, supermarkets are complex environments. There's often bright lighting, background music, or announcements, lots of people moving around, stronger or mixed smells, and rows of different options. And all of that is happening at once. So it's not just shopping, it's processing large amount of information in a short space of time, which can feel really overwhelming, even before you've picked up anything. Now, there are a few different layers to this. From a sensory perspective, light, sound, smell, and movement can feel more intense or harder to filter. So instead of fading into the background, they all compete for attention. There's also cognitive load. Shopping involves making decisions, comparing options, and remembering what you need, as well as navigating the space. All of that requires mental energy. So, when you combine sensory input, decision making, and time pressure, it creates an environment that can be genuinely overwhelming. This is something that's also reflected in the research. Studies show that autistic individuals are more likely to experience sensory sensitivity in environments like supermarkets, increase cognitive load when making decisions, and higher levels of fatigue in complex settings. From a nutritional psychiatry perspective, we also think about how stress impacts behavior. When the nervous system is under strain, tolerance for sensory input decreases, decision making becomes harder, and avoidance becomes more likely. So, if grocery shopping feels overwhelming, it makes sense that it might be delayed, shortened, or avoided altogether. And that can then affect what food is available at home, which shapes eating patterns as well. So, how does this impact eating? When shopping feels difficult, it can lead to putting it off, feeling exhausted afterwards, or only being able to manage a small number of items. And that can mean fewer options at home, relying on whatever feels easiest, or skipping meals altogether. So, this isn't just about shopping, it's part of the whole eating process. If this is something you experience, there are some approaches that can help, but these aren't rules and they won't work the same for everyone. It's about finding what feels supportive for you. So, some people find it helpful to go at quieter times of the day, to use online shopping or delivery where possible, to keep consistent list or buy the same items regularly, shop in smaller, more manageable trips, or to use headphones to reduce noise. Others might follow the same route through the store, choose familiar brands or foods, or limit the number of decisions they need to make. And importantly, safe foods can play a really helpful role here because they reduce decision making and make shopping feel more predictable. It's also important to say if you find supermarkets overwhelming, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. These environments are high demand, and your response to that is understandable. So, this isn't about pushing yourself to cope with everything. It's about finding ways to reduce load where you can. If grocery shopping feels difficult for you, you're not alone in that. And it's a really valid part of the eating experience that often gets overlooked. Now, I'd really value hearing your experience. What do you find most challenging about supermarkets? You might also find my other videos on safe foods and eating helpful as well. And if you're interested in more evidence-based neuroaffirming approaches to nutrition and mental well-being, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.